All right, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to Bali Unplugged podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by BaliPropertyFinanced.com, where we reduce the barriers to entry so you can own your own first property business in Bali safely and securely. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the podcast because our guest may or may not have a little gift for you. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bali Unplugged podcast, your local guide to understanding the Bali business landscape, from tourism, property, experiences, and everything else that you need to know when coming to Indonesia. And today we have a special guest, Matthieu Chauveau. Matthieu is a property entrepreneur. He's built 4 companies in Bali, focusing on real estate tourism over the last 4 years. Matthieu, take us away, and tell us a little bit about yourself, about your history growing up, and what it was like, and how it sort of shaped you as a business person or an entrepreneur, being able to do what you do today.
Thanks, Chris. Happy to be here. I was born in Paris, as you can see with my my French accent, very strong French accent. Born in Paris, studied in. My parents live in Bordeaux now, the country of the good wine. And I studied law and business at the university. So that's the first time I encountered the excitement of economics and doing business. And I traveled a lot in Europe and in Argentina for my studies. That's when I really discovered the excitement and the pleasure to live abroad. First in England, then in Spain, Argentina. And so when I started my career in Paris for Accor in finance, I was an auditor. So I was traveling the world to audit hotels and head offices for Accor. And after a few years, I really wanted to be an expat. And I discovered Jakarta, Indonesia, during one of my assignments for Accor. And I just fell in love with the country, with the people, like grinding, smiling, super nice compared to Paris, where people are not smiling all the time. It was really so fresh to be in Jakarta and working with amazing people all the time. So like, okay, I need to live there. So that's what I did. Moved to Jakarta, worked for 2 years at the CEO office of Accor, and then for 3 years I managed hotels in Bali and then in Singapore, Novotel, Mercure. I did the opening of the hotels. And then I wasn't really keen about the operation. That was not my passion. So I decided to go back to school, did my MBA in Singapore and France at INSEAD. And then that's when I had some kind of like enlightenment moments where I didn't want to work for a corporate anymore. I was like, okay, I need to go back to Bali. I need to surf. I really realized the surf was my the true passion, what makes me happy. So the goal was, after the MBA, move back to Bali, surf, and just figure it out. And you cannot surf 24 hours a day. So after a while, I was like, okay, how can I use my time? And we started to build this first company, Tropic Invest, during COVID with my partner, Vincent. And the goal was to help investors to invest in Bali, basically, to buy properties, buy land, buy villas. And then quickly we found the land in Sidemen, raised a bit of money, going to develop a hotel there. And then we helped building a real estate agency in Ubud and Mass Estates. And now we are building a property management company, TKT, that we launched last year. We already have around 20 villas under management and probably 50 to 60 before the end of the year. So it's growing super fast. It's super exciting. And
nice.
Still surfing every day.
Nice. You seem very talented, being able to manage 4 different companies at a time. Let's bring it back to all the way back to your childhood. What was it like growing up with your 2 parents? What did they do? What kind of backgrounds did they have, and how did that shape your future?
So my dad is a doctor,
Yep.
and my mom, she's a psychotherapist, yes. So
Ah,
medicine, doctor, medicine background.
yeah,
So
and
I didn't become a doctor,
yeah,
but they, yeah, growing in the middle class, French middle class, um, I guess, well educated,
great.
growing up around books, reading. I love readings, thanks
Mm.
to my parents, and yeah, I was lucky to be born in the French
Little bit,
middle class,
yeah, bit upper
the
society.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So good childhood, university, business school. I did
Yep.
the typical French um, education for business. You go to
Yep.
university, then you do a business school, then you work a bit, then you do MBA. So the classic. And then instead of going to the corporate, I went surfing to Bali. So a bit less classic at the end.
Okay. So how do you feel that's shaped your success? Obviously, having a traditional education, how do you feel that's, shaped what you do?
I think when I studied first in Erasmus
Mm.
in England, living abroad with so many different nationalities, it really, I think it was the first time that really opened my mind on the world.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, that's you confront yourself with different culture, with a different way of seeing life, business, education, everything. I think that really was the first time that shaped me. And then I also,
How old
I'm
were
not,
you at the time?
I was 20, 21, I think, 21. Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any
Uh,
experiences, any experiences of entrepreneurship earlier than that, or when you
not
started
not
university?
really. No, entrepreneurship it came late when I did my MBA. Actually, it started my first venture. So the
Hmm.
fifth company we have a jewelry company,
Yeah.
family business. But
Ah,
before that, no, I think managing hotels
you have
was
a jewelry company.
close to. Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's family business. Small. We do like small, yeah, jewelry, sustainable jewelry.
Sustainable,
Luxury. We only do custom made, only engagement rings, a few
handcrafted.
thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
So, but no, I think before that, the first encounter with entrepreneurship
Mm.
was when I was managing hotels. When
Hmm.
you start to have big teams and you need to just be a leader
Mm.
and lead the team, take decisions. So it was kind of like intrapreneurship. So
Yeah.
I was
Had to
working for
climb the
Accor.
ranks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And you mentioned this was working with a core group in Jakarta.
yeah. So in Bali and managing hotels in Bali and in Singapore. In Jakarta, I
Okay.
was at the head office, more like in charge of P&L performance of the hotels. It's more like
Yep.
finance oriented. But
Yep.
when I
Yeah.
moved to
And
Bali,
so for the layman, please explain PNN.
P&L, I mean, so it's the profit and loss statements. So basically, I was in charge of controlling the revenue and profit of the hotels
Yep.
to make it simple.
Ah, beautiful. Okay, great. Okay, so obviously your work took you to Bali because you had those kind of interests. What initially attracted you to Bali outside of work? What was it that kept you here?
So the surf, like simple answer. I realized that surfing was to be happy. I needed to surf.
Yep.
Needed to be close to the ocean. I knew Bali because I worked there for a year.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, let's go back to Bali, surf. I had this, you know, dream in my life to-do list to be able to really improve my surfing. And I
Yeah.
needed like for 6 months, I was like, okay, I'm going to surf every day. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll go back to the corporate in Singapore or in Europe. But at least for 6 months, I will really improve my surfing.
Yeah.
And now it's been 5 years, and yeah, it improved a lot. But yeah, the surf, because
So it was definitely the
yeah,
surfing. So are you
surfing,
more of like a longboard guy or
short board.
Showboard. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Like
So
cutting.
I started with surfing, and then I met my now wife,
Yep.
and she has a kid. So I kind of that's my stepdaughter now. I kind of like adopted her. I know her since she's almost 2 or 3 months old. So
No.
yeah, it started with surf, and now it's a family entrepreneurship. Yeah, the beauty of life, an adventure.
Okay. So you said you mentioned you met your wife. Was it here or Jakarta?
In Bali
Oh, in
during
Bali.
during COVID. Yes.
Oh, during COVID. Right.
Yeah.
What was it like back then for you? What was your
COVID couple. Actually, COVID, like, so business wise, it was terrible because we started a real estate company during COVID when nobody can visit Bali. So a very smart business plan. But lifestyle was great. I mean, great. It was, yeah, it was tough for everyone. But because there were not tourists, we were a very small community. While surfing was great, almost nobody was surfing. So you could surf in Batu Bolong with 3 people, when now you have probably 100 in the
yeah,
water. And you could travel around Indonesia and visit so many places without anyone. So it was for that part, it was pretty cool. Business wise, for the local population, even for us to earn money, it was quite tough.
What are your thoughts on Bali's recovery? Obviously, Bali recovered quite fast compared to everywhere else around the world. Why do you think that is?
I think there was in 2022 the COVID revenge, where people get stuck in their countries, apartments for 2 years, and then everything reopened. They were like, okay, let's go, let's go to Bali. I need to see the beach. I need to see the ocean. So 2022 was crazy. All the properties were full. All the real estate agencies were selling like crazy. Development projects started as well. It was really a 1 year crazy. Now it's getting back to kind of normal. The revenge passed, and now we can see that the occupancy, the rates are back to what it was before, and just getting back to some kind of normality in Bali.
In
But
Bali.
of course, there are more and more development projects. The competition is tougher, and you have a lot of expats also who move to Bali. So you can see also the professionalism in Bali is higher than before. So if you want to
Yeah.
start a business in Bali, you need to. It's not like a few years ago you could just come to Bali, start something, and it will work probably
Yeah.
because the number of tourists increased, and
Yeah.
you didn't have a lot of competition. Now, if you look at for instance, the F&B scene, you have so many amazing restaurants and chefs coming from abroad.
Absolutely.
Real estate development, same. You have big developers from Hong Kong, Australia, Europe coming in as well. So, which I think it's good for Bali. It's getting more professionals, more controls. Yeah,
Better regulation. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's great.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, we started talking a lot about the professional stuff, and we've got we've talked about some of your hobbies. How do you balance your work and your professional? I mean, so your personal life and your professional life. Obviously because you've got so many things going on, it must be quite challenging, especially with the family as well.
It's challenging. So I wake up very early in the morning. It will sound like the entrepreneur cliche, the 5 a.m. club. But
Yeah.
actually, I'm part of the club, so I wake up quite early before the kid wakes up. So I do my like from 5:30 to 7, like hour and a half of deep work,
Yeah.
trying to clean all the annoying tasks before the day starts.
Do all the hard
And
things
then
first. Yeah.
yeah, and then during the day it's trying to to use different techniques that I've read, like Pomodoro technique, or trying to
Oh,
block
you're
some time
Pomodoro as
to
well.
work. Yeah. I think
Which one?
the
25 or 20?
25.
25 and
Yeah,
5. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I think the toughest part for us entrepreneur is this. It's because with WhatsApp, all the time you
Distraction.
receive notification all the time. So I think the key is to block time and like 25 minutes, 30 minutes without WhatsApp, then 5 minutes WhatsApp. But it's difficult, especially managing properties, or you always things happening. So you need also to be live for your teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I surf also every day almost. So I understand the value of taking some time for yourself.
Mm.
So my teams, everybody knows that if the surf is good, I'm surfing, and it's 10. Like after this podcast, I'm going to surf
Hit
because
the
the
surf.
waves of yeah, exactly. So yeah, just managing the time, and I think also I learned about the value of outsourcing, and I understand that I think last year. But as an entrepreneur, the most valuable asset is your time. And at the beginning, you start your first venture, you do everything. Presentation on Canva, you just do the deck, you
Yep.
do the visit, you do everything. Do the admin, you are the marketing, the sales, the finance. But then you realize that your strength, your asset, as an entrepreneur, for instance,
Mm.
is maybe to go out and find business, not to do your accounting, or not
You have to
to
do the BDM work. Yep.
to do the Instagram. So
Because you're the face of the
I
business.
yeah. So now I understand that, and I outsource a lot. So I have teams now. Well, because we grew, so we can afford to hire people now. But I even if when you start, if I had to do it again, I will not spend my days doing pitch deck, for instance. I will hire someone on Fiverr, $50. In 3 days, you have your deck, which is well designed. So all these things that help you save time. Now I'm pretty good at it, super efficient, and I know what to outsource to my team or to outsource companies. So that's how I can find time to surf, find time to be with the family, find time to work. I think the outsourcing and just focusing on the most important tasks as
Beautiful.
the
So,
leader of the company.
so you answered one of my questions. I was going to ask, give us one huge productivity hack. And so what you're saying is outsource.
Outsource. Yeah, it's first thing. So now what I do is every time I have repetitive tasks for a
Mm.
few weeks that really annoys me and I feel like it's not productive, I just take a moment, usually during the weekend when the girls are out, and I'm like, okay, how can I outsource it? And now I forced my teams
Mm.
to write down all the processes and to create systems for everything. So like
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom. So
Yeah.
it's you save time, and you have to dedicate some time per week to
Mm.
analyze the tasks you are doing and trying to find ways to just remove them or outsource them. Or and that's yeah, I think that's the difficulty is like when you are, your head is on the business every day, like work, 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 work. I think sometimes you're like, okay, helicopter view. It's like, okay, I'm taking 1 or 2 hours. You go to Lembongan for 2 days alone. That's what I did 3 months ago. Like, okay, Lembongan 2 days, just surf on the beach, laptop, Notion. I'm like, okay, how can I
Oh, you
improve?
use Notion as well. Oh,
Yeah, a lot,
beautiful.
a lot. I
I
force,
love
I
it.
force the team to use Notion now. But yeah, I think the hack is trying to look at the tasks and be
Yeah.
like, how can I simplify it and how can I remove it from my life? Like, and you
Yeah.
systematize, and then you can just. The goal is tomorrow if your business can grow and work without you. So that's
That's
why
it.
we
That,
in
well,
Notion we created the brain, so
yeah.
where you have everything related to your company. So the goal is like next year I can live for 2 months and my team can handle the business.
I guess
That's
that's the
the
ultimate. I
life
guess
goal.
that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? You know, especially as entrepreneurs, we want to do everything, and we want to do everything like perfection to a T. But
Yeah,
ultimately, what's that? That perfection, procrastination stops us from being more productive. It's better done 80% of the value than 100% because you get things off your
yeah,
own plate. Yep.
yeah. And I think also another hack is learning to say no. At the
Yes.
beginning, start a business, you need money, you need cash, and you're like, okay, yes, 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 and everybody's trying to get your time, especially in Bali. A lot of people trying to get your time and your knowledge for free. So at the beginning, you're like, okay, yes, let's get a coffee, let's get that, let's do that, da, da, da. But at
Yep.
some point, it just eats all your time. So now we say no more and more. We say no to potential clients, potential buyers, potential partners. Just no. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. I think no is a very powerful word because the more you tend to use it, the more opportunities, like the more you can really pick better opportunities as opposed to just anything that comes to the table.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I also realized that sometimes you say no
Mm.
and people respect you more than if you say yes, actually. Which is like, so they're like, what? You say no? It's like, yeah, sorry, I don't have time, or maybe later. And they're like, okay. And they, I don't know, feel like they respect you more than if you are just like, yes, 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 yes.
Oh, it's so true. There's a number of instances where it's happened to me, and I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, I don't think it's gonna work out at the moment. But yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess this leads me to my next question. Can you share any experiences that you've had to, adapt to? So any cultural differences that you might have had in Bali?
I think the challenge is first managing the teams. Different culture. I think managing teams everywhere in the world is challenging.
Mm,
But if it's a different culture, different language as well,
mm,
that's not an easy thing to do. And
mm.
you need to, for instance, I think I remember when I first managed hotel in Bali, my boss, Vincent at that time. I
Yep.
remember the first few weeks I arrived as French and like, okay, let's do it. I'm gonna change the system and I'm gonna do this, implement process.
Yep.
And I remember in like 2 weeks, 3 or 4 staff cried because
Oh,
in Indonesia it's you need to take the time to explain. It was just this kind of French douche arriving from from Europe with my pre conception is like, okay, that's how we should do business, etc., etc.
yep.
And actually it was completely counter productive. And everybody, all the team was like, "Who's this guy?" We have
There's
never
this
said,
asshole
no
coming in here
respect.
trying to make a mess.
Yeah. And yeah, so my boss called me and like, look, I understand that you want to change things and you want to improve processes. I got it, but that's not how it works. It's in Indonesia. That's not how it works. So it for me it was a big learning. It was not nice for my ego, but I was like, all right, okay, I need to adapt,
You have to
and
humble yourself. Yeah.
yeah, it's to be humble, and so I still remember this story 10 years later. And I think the other challenge that we still face now is the ever-changing regulation for real estate in Bali. Even if we are well connected and I have a good understanding of how business works in Indonesia now,
Mhm.
there are always, layers of administration, different type of systems, different regulation, and different laws, and it's
Always.
quite it's challenging to navigate. Now we are applying for a building permit for a hotel, small hotel in Sidemen, and it
Yeah.
has been a huge challenge with yeah, issues, a lot of issues. between Bali and Jakarta. It takes a lot of time. And so when you deal with investors, because we raised money for this venture, it's a challenge to, foreign investors and to explain to them like takes more time. It's Bali. There are things that we cannot control, but we want to do it the right way. So please be patient. So yeah, to manage to navigate this environment is not always easy. So I think it's important
basically
to have
setting expectations between investors and clients to the process itself, because a lot of people believe that because Bali is sort of still an emerging market, they can get away with doing sort of gray area sort of stuff, or a little bit shady, which is not how it works in Bali.
I think it's and I think it's really wrong way to think. No, first, will you do that in your country? So that's the first thing. People that come to Bali are like, oh yeah, I'm not paying tax, I'm not doing this. Like, will you do that in your country? Of course not. So why do you do it in Indonesia? That's the first thing. Like doesn't make sense. And then I think also we talked a lot about it lately, and that the regulations are reinforced now. There are more and more controls on the PMAs, on the real estate, on the building permits, and they are getting there. Like even if it's an emerging market, Indonesia, it's 280 million people. It's growing super fast, 6% increase of GDP per year for the next 15 years probably. So there are, and COVID accelerated also the transition to digital. So everything is online now. There are also connection with other countries, ASEAN, all the information now are free, and it's easy to share between countries. So I think it's a really bad thing to think that you can do whatever you want here and it will not impact you here or in your country. So just
exactly.
I mean, if you take the real estate I think in Bali there are so many greedy people. Let's take it this way. Like if you look at real estate investments, you probably, if you do some things right, you will get 10, 12, maybe 14% net return a year, which is amazing compared to other places
6% only
in the world, like. So in Paris, I think you will get maybe 2% return, not even. So
that's worse than inflation.
Like pay your taxes and do things properly, and like don't. You want to sleep well at night. But I think it's it's a global. I think all the countries that are growing. It was the same in France 30 years ago. It's growing, and the regulation needs to follow up, and you have these years where you can still play a bit around, but I think the long run it doesn't really. If you want to stay in Bali, just do things properly.
Just do things properly. That's good. That is great advice, Matt.
Yeah.
I guess this does lead to my next question, which is, what advice would you give someone who's considering moving to Bali?
I think it's good to come for a few weeks and feel the island. I have not many, but I have a few friends who lived in Bali and left Bali after a few months because it just wasn't for them. I think you think about Bali, like beach, and it's amazing. People are nice and amazing life. But living in Bali it's a different story. Well, I'm not saying that you should not come to Bali, but it's just not like the paradise you see on Instagram all the time. So I think it's good to, before moving there with your family, for instance, to spend a few weeks, stay in a house for a few weeks and go around, see if you are okay with the traffic, if you are okay with the language, the way you live in Bali. I think many expats, what they mentioned, the negative aspect of Bali, I think would be maybe the social part, where in big cities, in Jakarta, Singapore, Paris, whatever, you have more, I think, social encounters, more events, arts, culture, things like that. Bali is an island; it's more
in Jakarta.
laid back. Yeah, in Jakarta, the expat community is quite strong. In Bali, it's more laid back, you know. So it's good. Some people will like it, some not. So I will say, spend a few weeks. And for everything related to Bali, I think just also do your due diligence. So real estate, moving here, just read a lot of things, talk to different people. Don't just buy the first thing you read online or the first guy you meet in a bar who looks nice and yeah, you can invest in an amazing project. Give me 100K now. I'll give you 150 tomorrow. It's like, oh yes, sounds like a good deal. Let's do it.
It sounds too good to be
happened,
true.
it happens a few times. I know people who did that. So like, why the hell did you invest with this guy like you met in a bar? Ah, but it sounded really good. So yeah, just due deal and do your research.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people, get caught with their pants down, so to speak, and unfortunately, it happens to people, and then they, the person that they've invested with ends up on the news headlines, and it's they've run away with other people's money, and it's no good.
Yeah. Due deal.
Yeah, you definitely need to do the due diligence. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I do have a question. Obviously, you working with 4 different companies as your own. How do you stay connected with your personal community in Bali? Like, what groups are you a part of? Are you a part of like yoga groups or real estate groups? Tell me, how do you stay connected with them?
So there are a few real estate groups on WhatsApp. Well, we belong to the same ones, I think. That's the first ones. I joined the United Founders. Pretty cool community of entrepreneurs based in Bali. They organize events every month and pretty cool people. And then I just surf. So and I don't like to share my surfing time with anyone. I'm so happy that my wife doesn't like surfing because she tried once and I was like, no, that's my thing. So I just go and surf and I don't talk to anyone. That's my thing.
That's your meditation.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really spend time doing other things than surfing. It's already a lot of time. Then I have my small group of friends, and time goes fast when you have companies to manage and a family at home and trying to catch up with friends at the end of the week. You don't really have time to join many events.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when
you
you're
have
dealing
to
with
priority.
Okay, so now that I've asked that question, can you tell us a bit about a time that you've faced a significant challenge in Bali and how you overcame it?
I think, when we launched the first venture during COVID, quite a bold move. The idea was to, start building the brand. We knew it was COVID, so we won't probably do a lot of business until it reopens. We thought it will reopen quicker than that. So, it's launching a new venture, raising a bit of fund and trying to kind of survive with your cash. And then another challenge was when we started to raise funds for our hotel in Sidemen. Some issues, with the land and the due deal and to get the building permit it took a lot of time. So stressful, as I mentioned before, to try to keep the expectation with the investors while trying to get things moving. We were not lucky. It was the time where they kind of changed everything in Indonesia related. The building permit moved from IMB to PBG, so it was quite a big mess for a few months. The time that they just changed everything. Also, they during that time they changed the PMA from 2.5 billion to 10 billion capital. So then it took a few months as well to
that was early in the year.
Yeah, for the Indonesian government. So yeah, we lost a lot of time, and it's just challenging and stressful. It's not only in Bali, but in general, when you start a business and you have your plan and doesn't go as planned, and then you're like, oh shit, shit, shit. And also when you cannot, you don't really, you can't really do anything because it's related to regulation and administration, and the process is ABC, and you have to follow ABC. Can't do anything. So it's challenging. But other than that, I think if you're open in Bali and you respect people, I think it's a great life, great lifestyle. People are amazing, and you just adopt more chilled, uh, chilled attitude towards
More patient, right?
challenges. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bali, it's like it's gonna happen. What some ways it will happen. So I think as European, for instance, we are like, okay, it needs to be done now. We have to do it, did it. But then I think working in Indonesia for a few years now, you kind of understand. Sometimes it just takes time, and you cannot do anything about it. You've done everything, and you're like, okay, now you just have to
Have to
wait.
follow the right processes and then be
Yeah,
patient.
just have to wait.
Let it cook.
Yeah, just go surfing. You
Just go
have to wait.
surfing. Hopefully it'll be over by then.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's
Yeah.
challenge for most of the expats. We hired a few expats, and it didn't work well, because I think that's the main challenge. Yeah, I think that's the main challenges for expats. Also for people who want to move to Bali. You work in Singapore, and you're like, okay, I really want to live in Bali, good life, island life, and you arrive, and obviously things are slower than in Singapore. And if you are not willing to embrace this culture and way of living and doing business, then you can get pissed really quickly, And we had some we had some bad hiring, where after a few months people just left. They're like, I cannot anymore. I cannot work in Bali. It's too slow. It's too people, they don't understand what I'm saying, etc., etc. So you need to adjust, and that's. But I think Balinese, they understand what life is compared to us in Europe or in the US, where we are chasing money and fast. I think sometimes
How
you
do
just.
you feel that's sort of changed your perspective on life and business? Like,
I think living in Bali, it's 'cause I lived in Singapore before, so it was complete opposite. Money, work, title and showing off. Here in Bali, different perspective about. For me, I think they understand what life is. To have the right balance between the family, work, your personal things, and things are a bit slower, but it's cool as well. You enjoy life, and I think it completely changed my perspective about life. I think before I was the typical, probably a bit douchey French, corporate world, MBA, like work, the best, and okay, I'm gonna climbing the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
Now I really understand the value of the relationship, partnership, long-term vision,
Human connection.
and
Yeah.
chill as well. Like if sometimes now we refuse clients, we could make more money with more business, but we feel like it's not going to be a good partnership, and it's more like a win-lose partnership than a win-win. And I think I don't want that in my life. So I think balance is the word. Of course, you want to do business, you want to make money, and you want to grow the businesses and give back to the community. But at the same time, enjoy life, being with your family, see your kids growing. I think that's practice what you love, like surfing, for instance. I think that's important.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So before before we dive into the last lot of questions, I wanted to ask, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about living in Bali, and how would you address them?
I think the first one, we talked about it before, is thinking that it's super easy to move to Bali. It's like people are cool. I just moved there, I have money, I take a villa, and hop, new life, easy. But actually, it's not. It's like new culture, new way, as we mentioned. It's a bit slower, like in other places. Island life. So don't expect exhibition, museum. It's a really different lifestyle. So I think people, they have something in mind, and some of them are a bit disappointed when they arrive. We didn't talk about the traffic, about the pollution, about the plastic that is in the ocean nowadays because a lot of rains. So that's the less shiny, less nice part of Bali. And also, I think the other misconception that we mentioned before is that you can do whatever here. I think that's the biggest one. Like people, they arrive, they're like, oh, yeah, it's fine. You just have to pay here and there and know the right person. And I think it worked probably before. I think it still works a little bit, but it's not only Bali. In France, it's the same. If you know the mayor of your city, you will probably be able to, accelerate some processes. It's everywhere is the same. But I think here it's changing in Indonesia, and controls are tightening. And it's not, you cannot do whatever you want. I think that's the
So
big
do you believe this is sort of like the precipice of like when business really sort of starts to speed up? At the same time, it's a great time to enter Bali because it wasn't the wild, wild west, but there's still plenty of opportunity moving forward.
There are plenty of opportunities, but competition is tough. So my advice is you can still make good money in Bali, but you need to spend a bit more time on first due diligence, obviously, and your sales and marketing strategy, your business plan. I think 6, 7, 8 years ago, if we take F&B, for instance, restaurants, 6 years ago, you just, open a restaurant, a cafe, looks nice, you have business because you don't have many restaurants. The quality was not that great. So if you were a bit smart and copying what worked somewhere else, I think you will make a decent amount of money. Same if you build a villa. You build a villa a few years ago, it will probably work without being a hospitality star because of you had 10-15% more tourists every year. So the issue now is F&B. You have, as I mentioned before, a lot of international chefs who moved to Bali, a lot of people who invested a lot of money in F&B ventures, and they know what they are doing. They bring their teams, they bring the chef, they know how to market the restaurants, they know how to promote it on social media. So it's much more difficult. Same for the villa management, for the villas. If you build a villa today, you are competing against a lot of different villas.
Food and beverage now is
just copying the young villas design is not key to success anymore. So you need to you can still make a good investment even in crowded places like in Canggu, for instance. Although it's more and more difficult to make money there, but I think it goes back to the business plan, to know your target market, marketing, sales, the classic, I will say. I think that's the shift that I see from before to now. Like before, you could probably start something without a business plan and be like, good location, it works. Now it's much more difficult. Now
you really need to do due diligence and market research.
To do your research.
So I got a sense of like what you're saying is building villa or just purchasing villas is not so much the key to success, and sort of that phase, the real estate phase, is sort of past. whereas F&B is now where people are starting to pick up. So as that finishes, the next phase of development happens. Is that what you're saying?
I think no, I picked F&B because it's because if you live in Canggu or in Barawa, you see new restaurants every week.
And they're much more expensive than the
yeah.
regular ones.
So it's kind of like, I think expats arriving in Bali, they either want to do real estate or open a cafe, So I took this example. I think investing in F&B is a really bad investment. It's a really, really challenging environment. And there you can make a lot of money if you know what you're doing, but 90% are losing money. So I think F&B, if you are not in the F&B scene, don't invest in F&B. I think it's a pretty bad business. It's a very risky business.
Labor intensive and a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it's really tough. You have to be good at so many different things. It's tough. Yeah. But the real estate, it's easier, I would say. Well, first you have the location. So location. But I think, again, more competition, a lot of development projects at the moment. If you go to Uluwatu, it's like a construction site, construction everywhere. Canggu is the same. North Canggu is the same. Building villas. So, of course, it's pure math. You have the same number of tourists, you have more villas. Obviously, the villas will compete for the same number of tourists. So occupants, supply and demand. So I think also, again, investor, they need to not be stupid. And you know that today you invest in Bali, if someone sells you a 25% return, it's not going to happen. It's like, it's not.
I've seen some marketing that says like 47% return ROI.
It's never going to happen. No, because it's lack of transparency and lack of due diligence from buyers. And you read they sell you 30% return, but the ROI is calculated on the revenue and not on the profit. So it's it's like, it's not the ROI, it's just a percentage on your. So they kind of play around,
or they might just calculate it, the yield on the deposit, not the entirety of the value.
Yeah, and they don't count the PB1, the hospitality tax, the Airbnb fee, or the PPH, the net income tax that you have to pay as well. But they forget a lot of things. So I think it's just as buyer, you need to. So again, I think due diligence is the key.
So and you were mentioning before, obviously with F&B and the restaurants, prices will fluctuate, depending on the places that you live. How do you manage your expenses here in Bali? Obviously, because one place could be like $1 for a meal, another place could be like $30, $40 for a meal. So how do you balance that?
I think it's still okay. I really enjoy the two different aspects of Bali, where you can go eat at the warung for €1 or €2 for your lunch, and then go and drink at Potato Head for like $200, 200K the cocktail. So I mean, it's a mix, and that's what I like about Bali as well. To at the end of the day, you do your budget, and but I think there are everything for everyone in Bali. You just need to choose. But I think the main cost for expats is the rent, because in Bali you need to pay a year in advance, which is quite a pain. And finding I think it's changing now. I talk to many real estate agencies, and I think the monthly and yearly rent will go down slowly this year, because there are many properties on the market now, and owners, they don't make that much money on daily. And you see more and more owners who are like, better put it on monthly or yearly. I don't have the headache of regulation, licenses with Airbnb. I just put it yearly, and that's it. So I think there will be more properties on the market for yearly rents, which is great for us. Chris, living in Bali, we will pay less for our yearly rents. but that's the challenge because you need to spend so much time on like Facebook groups and agencies to find the right villa or right house. But I think for expats, that's a big challenge, much more than if the food. Just with Grab, Gojek, you can find whatever you want.
Pretty much.
Finding a place to live is the challenge for expats in Bali.
Oh, it is, especially because the prices vary so much as well. So, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, how like these are my last lot of questions here, Matt. How do you see Bali's future in both in terms of its economy and its role as a global hub for entrepreneurs and creativity?
So I think Bali will continue to grow. You have the brand. In Bali, there are so many things to do in Bali. That's why people come. When you look at the tourist arrival in 2024, it's already the same level of 2019. And because, when you come to Bali in 10 days, you can go to the beach, go to the mountain, hike, see manta rays and see dolphins. And there are so many different things that you can do only 1 or 2 hours by car. So it's huge. And people are complaining about traffic. Yes, it's a pain, especially for people living in Bali. But if you live in Paris and you spend 1 or 2 hours a day in the traffic and you arrive in Bali, you don't really care. You're like, wow, that's amazing. 10 days, it's like a dream. I think from an expat perspective, living in Bali, of course, you complain. You're like, oh, it was better before, blah, blah, blah. But actually, the tourists arriving for the first time in Bali, they are wow. And Canggu is not Bali. People, they are like, oh, Canggu. Canggu is not Bali. It's like 5 kilometers from like a huge island. So there are so many different things to do. So Bali will grow for sure. I think also the Balinese government start to wake up in terms of infrastructures. So they announced that they will build, the LRT, like a rail train from the airport to Seminyak and Kuta. It will probably start in September. So they start to, do something about it. So let's see how it goes. But also, the other thing is, remember that 60% of the tourists in Bali are Indonesian. They are from Jakarta, Surabaya, Java. So these guys and the growing middle class in Indonesia is the fastest in the world after China and India. And there are 280 million people. So these guys, it's their country. They will come. So I'm not afraid about Bali growth. If it's not maybe less European, but way more Indonesian, Indian. The future is Asian. So I'm not too worried about it. For entrepreneurs, I'm not really convinced, to be honest. I joined a few groups of entrepreneurs where we discussed about the new Bali, Silicon Valley, whatever. I don't think it will really happen because you don't have the same ecosystem as in Jakarta or Singapore, for instance. So I think it will be more like expats who are looking for something a bit different, a different lifestyle. But the business is still Jakarta and Singapore. I think Bali, we like to live in Bali. But like after building villas or F&B, for instance, the real money, the real business is not in Bali. We are peanuts entrepreneurs compared to companies in Singapore, Dubai, Jakarta, Los Angeles. So I think it will just be a nice place for expats
a little bit of an incubator, but not so much.
I don't really believe in the incubator in Bali. I think it's too laid back. You don't have the ecosystem. For an incubator to work, you need to have universities and companies close to each other working together.
Wow, that's
in
an
Bali.
interesting perspective.
I don't believe it. I did quite a lot of research and talked to incubators as well, but maybe moving to Bali. But no, I don't think.
Not until they start building universities closer to each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is my final question, Matt. What advice do you have to give to someone who's looking to start a business in Bali?
I'll get back to the word, due diligence. I think that's the key. That's due deal. I think again for me it's two things. First, you need to have a proper business plan now. It's not just I'm going to Bali, I open a business and that's it. Voila. You really need to spend some time understanding the market and do your research. And the second one is due diligence, because now it's getting tighter on creating businesses with PMA. You need to have the right licenses. The hiatus investors, working permits are getting also a bit more difficult to obtain. You have more controls from the administration. There have been some situation where people get deported, PMAs seized, that kind of things. So yeah, just do things proper. Hire someone, hire consultants, pay people who understand the law, and they set up your business properly. Don't go with ketut, the friend of a friend of a friend who will do your all your registration for like 15 mil,
Yeah.
And you have like a shady ground for your business.
Shady company.
Spend a bit more, talk to the right people, and do things properly. I think do things how you will do it in your country. I think that's the key. Like, will you do that if
remember where you are?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why will you do things different in Bali compared to your country? And it's even more important here because you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
And Indonesia don't really give a shit about you, if I may say. It's
no leeway.
Except if you are Elon Musk. But if you start a small business, so you need to be very clear. And also there are a lot of competition. People will, if you start to work well and make money business, people will start, sometimes jealousy. And if you want to sleep well, do things properly. And if you have a long-term vision, invest at the beginning on the solid ground for your business. I think that's the key. Because, people, they're like, okay, it's okay, just pay Ketut 15 million, Ketut or whatever. I have nothing against Ketut. Let's be clear. Let's say John. But like John, 15 mil, and then your business starts to grow. And then, you realize that they put the wrong license, or they put someone as commissioner and they did shady stuff. And then you have an audit and you're like, oh, shit, you get deported. So there are implications. So yeah, just take the time and do things properly, and work with the people who are in Bali since a long time, and they understand what's going on here.
Matthieu, it has been amazing chatting to you. Now, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, tell us, how can they get in touch with you, and tell us a bit more about the current focus that you have in your business.
Sure, they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm sharing 3 times a week post and advice on investing in Bali, real estate and entrepreneurs. Quite active on LinkedIn, so you can follow me and find me here. And now we are pushing, our main focus at the moment is our property management company, TKTvillamanagement, like Tata Kubu Tropica, very Balinese name. Pushing on that, and our other business.
TKT. So what is it?
TKT. The Tata Kubu Tropica. It's like, it means Villa Management Company in Balinese. Very smart branding. So yeah, we are focusing our effort on that. Our Tropic Invest is our advisory firm as well. So you can find me.
Beautiful. Amazing. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode. See ya.
Thanks, Chris. See ya.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for tuning into the Bali Unplugged podcast. This episode was sponsored by BaliPropertyFinance.com, where we reduce your barriers of entry so you can easily acquire a property business in Bali.